Welcome back to News 2 Midday. We're taking a look back at some of the week's biggest stories. Charlie James from 1250 WTMA joins us right now. Charlie, there are new results that are out from Winthrop University.
That's right.
They're talking about not only state officials, but also President Trump.
That's right. President Trump doing a little worse here in South Carolina than nationally. Right now, nationally, he's getting about 48% approval rating in some polls. I think the latest Rasmussen poll. However, the Winthrop poll shows him at about 43% approval rate. And a lot of people say, well, how did he win South Carolina so handily? Well, you can't take the election results and put them with a popularity poll, because you also have to look at who his candidate, who his opponent was with that one. That's why he won so handily here in South Carolina. However, he's got a long way to go here in South Carolina to really start raising his popularity, his poll numbers. And I think maybe recently, world events could help do that here in South Carolina. Some other folks that were mentioned in the poll, as you see there, Lindsey Graham, he is polling right down the middle. About 47% disapprove of Lindsey Graham in office, 44% approve of him. However, he continues to win handily here in South Carolina. A lot of my callers, if you did it just on the callers to my show on WTMA, he would have about a 10% approval rating. Because
how outspoken he's been, I guess, about
Trump.
Trump.
Exactly. And most of my callers are very pro-Trump, and they're not big fans of Lindsey Graham. But he's got a lot of support in the upstate. Tim Scott continues to be wildly popular, about 80% approval rating with folks that are Republican or lean Republican, 60% overall. He's very popular here in South Carolina. But the one thing that really surprised me were the poll numbers on Governor Henry McMaster. And the surprising thing is that 28% of all respondents don't know how they feel about the guy. Now, I understand it's very early in his administration. However, people should have some kind of an idea of of how they feel about the job that you're doing. If he is going to do well in the upcoming election in 2018, he's got to take this as a baseline and really get his people working on it as far as public perception is concerned. Because right now, Colby, if your boss had no opinion of the job that you were doing, you would be in some serious trouble.
I think so.
So Governor McMaster and his folks, his PR folks, have a lot of room to go.
And I want to move on to the next point. This is a story that's been out there all week. It's probably the biggest talker this week. The United Airlines flight, the passenger was dragged off. Now his attorney is speaking out.
His attorney is speaking out, and we can pretty much assuredly guarantee that there is going to be a lawsuit. It may not go to court. United will probably end up settling. My guess is going to be about $3.5 million to this guy who was dragged off. But this all could have been handled at such an early stage. Everybody handled this incorrectly. I think United was responsible. The police there in the airport terminal, they were responsible. And of course, Dr. Dow takes some responsibility on that. Once you get on that plane, you are to follow the directions of that flight crew, no matter if you like them or not. They are in control, and your contract of carriage with the airline says that you will do that. And Dr. Dow, in my opinion, a lot of my callers' opinion this week say he should have deplaned.
Yeah. I also want to talk about the newly released documents from Dylan Roof's federal trial. He called a letter to a federal judge. He said his group of attorneys were the sneakiest people, he said, that he's ever met.
Yeah, that's something when Dylan Roof calls you the sneakiest people that he's ever met. I can think of somebody else sneakier, Dylan. How about a guy that goes into a prayer service, sits down and prays with people, and then gets up and kills them? That, to me, is sneakier than anything else. Also, he told his attorney that if he got out of jail, he would kill him. The one thing that sticks out in my mind through this whole thing, Colby, is we get these documents unsealed, and we're starting to learn more about Dylan Roof. This man would rather die than to be seen as mentally incompetent. Because in some way, I think he believes that would diminish his act. That, to me, is as twisted philosophy as you can get.
Well, Charlie James, as always, thanks so much for joining
us. Thank you, sir.
And you can always check out Charlie and his show during the week. It's the TMA Morning Show. It airs from 6 to 10 a.m., correct?
That's right.
And it's going to be Monday through Friday. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.